Hi, I am Jason Wickers, and this is my ELL evaluation presentation. Okay, question number 1. Students sometimes speak with dialects or differences in language that are related to their culture. What is your professional opinion on how these differences impact assessment approaches in oral language? So starting with assessment concerns that I have, the differences in dialect impact assessment approaches because you have to think about the content of the tests and whether or not the students will struggle when taking the assessments. So when giving the assessments, it can be difficult to know when the student has a true disorder or if the student just doesn't understand or know the content that is being asked or presented to them. So in Black English, there are many differences in the pronunciation of speech sounds. So the R and the L sounds do not sound the same as they would in English language. And there are also certain sound substitutions like the CH and the SH. Those are substituted for other sounds sometimes. And there are also dialectal differences in English speakers whose first language is Spanish. So the Spanish language has 18 consonants and 5 vowel sounds, and the English language has 24 consonants and 12 to 14 vowel sounds. So you can see that it is very difficult sometimes for the Spanish speakers to understand certain vowels in how to say them. So like the double O in look or book, sometimes they might not know how to pronounce that. Or in boat, OA, they don't have those two blends together. So that can be difficult for them to pronounce them correctly. And then also English phrases have different meanings. There are all kinds of different phrases, old-time phrases that English learners know or English language learners know, but not Spanish language learners or other cultures. They might not understand some of our phrases that we use. I personally have noticed and experienced differences in language and some of the students that I work with at my elementary school. I am a special education para, and so I work with students with special needs, but there is a little kindergarten boy in the classroom that I work in, and he speaks only Spanish. He doesn't understand any English really except for hi, hello, goodbye, yes, and no. And so a lot of the times the teachers try and ask him yes and no questions, and it's very difficult for like us to know if he understands that or not. And another thing is he has a para with him most of the day. I don't know if it's all day, but I know it's most of the day. And she's bilingual, and so she helps him with translating most of the time. But I don't think that there is a bilingual program at our school. I'm not sure because he's the only student that I have seen that only speaks Spanish and not English. So I'm not sure on that. I should ask and find out. But okay, so moving on to question number 2, what intervention options are available to students who are English learners if they need additional services? So the interventions that are available to English learners who speak Spanish are the bilingual education programs, which if you are in a bigger school district and there's more diversity in multiple different languages other than English and Spanish, say there's 5 different languages in your school, sometimes it's difficult to get bilingual programs for each language. So the most common one is Spanish. And then some of the other ones, it's kind of difficult to create bilingual programs for that, especially if there's not many students who speak that language. But Spanish bilingual education programs are very popular, and there are 2 different kinds of models for bilingual education programs. There's the transition and full model. And the transition model is when students are still learning their English skills, and so they're still taught in Spanish, but once they finally develop their English skills, they will be taught in full English. So that is good for students. It would be good for the little boy that is in kindergarten that doesn't know really that much English. So he would probably be in a transition bilingual program to start out, but then once you go through the transition, then you switch to full, or sometimes you just might go right into full if you do understand both English and Spanish. So sometimes the full programs you are taught in Spanish for one day and then you're taught English for one day, or in the mornings you're taught Spanish, then in the afternoons you're taught English. So it just kind of switches back and forth because the students do understand both languages. And then other interventions, reading through the book, I didn't see many other options for other interventions besides the bilingual education program. So I'm sure that you can find outside resources outside of schools, but I'm not really sure what other kind of interventions you can use, but I really do think that bilingual education programs are great interventions for students who are bilingual. And then I personally, this is kind of a interesting story. When I was reading through the book and I saw the transition in full models, I was like, oh my gosh, I've experienced a full model before, or I went and observed a full model school. So I went to Houston, Texas last spring, and I toured the A-Leaf School District, and it was great. It was such an awesome experience because I've never been to a school that big before or that diverse. And so one of the elementary schools that we went to, they had a full model, a full bilingual education program, and one classroom or two classrooms were right next to each other. One classroom, the teacher taught in English. The other classroom, the teacher taught in Spanish. And so these teachers work together to teach their students both English and Spanish. And the students switch throughout the day. They keep going back and forth between the classrooms, which I think is awesome. That was so interesting to see because I've never been around students who are bilingual. And so that was awesome. It was just such a cool experience. And I'm so happy that I got to see that. So the third and final question is, why are students who are culturally/linguistically diverse sometimes over or under identified for special education services? So if students are assessed, professionals can either overcompensate or undercompensate for a dialect and assume that it's a disorder. So sometimes a professor or a professional educator might be assessing a student and they might think that they have a true disorder, but really it's just a dialectual difference. Or sometimes they might think that they have a dialectual difference, but it actually is a disorder. So it can be either or. Sometimes it happens sometimes, but not all of the time, but it's just very easy for them to overcompensate or undercompensate. So that's pretty difficult as a professional educator giving that assessment. So you really have to make sure that you are paying attention to the details, really trying to understand and see if it's just the content they're not understanding or if it's because of their dialectual difference, why they aren't understanding. So that can be very difficult, and that's why sometimes students are over or under identified for special ed services. But that concludes my presentation, so thank you.